Hello. All right. So for today's devotional, I know last Friday I was talking about the whole concept of using our imagination, which is redeemed. When we gave our life to the Lord, it is redeemed. It's been made new. And so to use our imagination to dream with Him, to look at things from His perspective so we can see our future and see ourselves and also our loved ones and every situation that we find ourselves in, to view it from a lens of hope rather than simple reality of what we see in front of us. And think about it, how in the Bible it says how God's ways are higher than ours and His thoughts are higher than ours. So what that means is that we only see a very limited amount of our reality around us. Like really, we only see things from a very small perspective. Like just think of, let's say, a child learning to walk and who is constantly falling down, and all they see, all they feel, all they know right now is that they can't get up and walk. They're having a hard time with it. Yet the parent knows, hey, that's expected. That's part of the journey, and they'll make it. They'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. And so they have a bigger perspective, whereas that child in that moment has a very limited perspective of like, what am I doing? I keep falling. And so all that to say is that when it comes to the idea of using our imagination, I have been also feeling God challenge me lately to have it where I start thinking about, what does it mean to be me? Who am I? And yes, you can have the answers, things like I am a child of God and I am dearly and unconditionally loved by Him. Definitely. I can also say things like I'm a teacher, I'm a woman, I am an extroverted introvert. I can say all those different things, but that doesn't fully capture everything of who I am. And with that being said, what I've been realizing is that when it comes to who am I, I've realized that I've actually lived over 30 years of, I guess you'd say, tamping things down a little bit, because I don't want to be too much for some people, but I also don't want to be not enough for others. And for me, I think sometimes because typically I can pick up fairly well on maybe what other people are feeling around me or things along those lines. With that being said, then sometimes what will happen is then I end up changing just the expression of me around these different people, so that way they're more likely to approve of me, they're more likely to like me and want to hang out with me. And so with that being said, this last little while I feel like God's been saying, hey, who are you? Who are you? And what does it mean to be the full expression of who you are? Even the idea of being a dearly loved child of God, it sounds great, but what does that mean? How do I live that out? And the neatest thing is I've been able to start having it where, let's say, that beautiful truth of being a dearly loved, unconditionally loved child of God, I'm learning to take that truth and hold on to it dearly when I'm feeling stressed out, when I'm feeling insecure, all that kind of stuff. And the neatest thing is that I'm also able to have it where I can have great compassion and gentleness for myself when, let's say, I have those insecure moments, or I'm feeling anxious, worried, fearful, I'm doubting, whatever it might be. I can experience that and I can feel those emotions, but I can still hold on to truth. And I can have it where I also have moments where I cry or whatever it might be, and have that just allow myself to feel those things, but yet to know who I truly am. So I'm grounded in that. I'm grounded in what the truth is. And then it means that these other things that come up, different emotions and thoughts, it helps me sift through them so that way they line up with what the truth is. And so being a dearly loved child of God, let's say I'm having a moment where I'm just feeling really emotional and I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling worried, whatever it might be. In that moment, I can have it where I am reminding myself how ridiculously, outrageously, lavishly loved I am, no matter what. Don't have to earn it. And I can do the same for me. I can have it where I lavishly, outrageously, ridiculously love myself, especially when it feels like I'm not performing very well. I'm feeling anxious or whatever it might be. And so as I'm doing that, I'm starting to discover more of who I actually am. I'm having it where instead of being so fixated on what other people are doing or how they're doing life, I can glean from that, which is awesome. But I'm learning to figure out, okay, but who am I? Who am I? And what does it mean to be me? What does it mean to embrace the fullness of me? And that includes the parts that are not as great, the parts that I wish were different, especially in those moments when I feel really anxious or insecure, or whatever it might be. I wish I didn't feel that way. God, admit, I feel like life would be so much easier. But the more that I can hold on to truth, I find the faster I work through those different emotions. And I'm then able to, I don't know, I'm starting to figure out who I am. I'm starting to not define myself by the anxiety. I'm starting to not define myself by what I feel insecure of. I'm starting to not avoid the things that I'm insecure of just because I'm worried that I'm not going to measure up. I'm starting to own myself and be like, yeah, I'm not going to be perfect at everything. No, not going to happen. I'm going to screw up. I will make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes could be painful. That could happen. But God's bigger. And I don't have to have any shame in Christ at all because he's bigger and he loves me no matter what. And so it's just the neatest thing, the neatest experience to be able to have it where I'm starting to discover who am I and to hold on to truth, especially when I'm starting to feel a little shaky inside. And then the more that I do that, the more I'm starting to fall in love with who I am. And the more I'm starting to, I guess, have fun with just figuring out, okay, who am I? Who am I? If I'm no longer defining myself by the fear and the doubt and the insecurities, if I'm not defining myself by that anymore, there's a whole lot more space for me to explore now. There's so much more I can take risks with because if it doesn't work out, I'm still loved. I'm still going to be okay. I'm still God's child. He's crazy about me. And he knows my heart. He knows that my heart is to honor him no matter what, even when the mistakes happen. And so that's my encouragement to you is start having it where, let's say when you do have insecure or anxious moments or times when you're just filled with a lot of doubt or stress, whatever it might be, take that time to first of all seek what God's truth is, because guaranteed his truth is filled with hope and light and love. Hold on to that. Have compassion on yourself when you're feeling that way, though. Have deep compassion on yourself. But the more you hold on to that truth and keep your eyes focused on that, the more that you start to not define yourself by the anxiety, the doubt, the fear. You don't define yourself by that anymore. You start to define yourself by the truth. And that leaves, again, so much more room to discover who are you? What is the fullness of you? What is the full expression of who you are when you no longer are held back by all that other stuff? So have fun with that. Start exploring that. Experiment with that with your family, with your friends, where you start to not let fear hold you back. And just make sure that what you do is done in love, done with deep love for God, deep love for yourself, and deep love for others. And you'll figure it out. You'll find your way. God's not going to leave you or abandon you in any of this. So that's my encouragement to you. Go after the fullness of you. Discover who you are. And I'm doing that. And I've been alive for over 30 years. Start that now while you're still a teenager. Have it where you start going after it wholeheartedly, because you are worth it. You are worth finding out who you are and what is the full expression of you, because I guarantee you, when you show up in this earth as the fullness of you, that's exactly what the world needs. Hands down, every time. That's what it needs. All right. Love you, and I will see you later.